What's up, FCA family? Welcome back to episode 4 of Get Your Faith in the Game. If it's your first time here, we want to say welcome. We're glad you're checking us out and hope this episode impacts you and grows you closer to Christ. If you're a returner, welcome back. We're glad you're here again, checking us out, seeing what episode 4 is all about. I'm so excited. We just got done episode 3 with Dom and Juice talking about dealing with adversity. If you have not checked that out, I highly recommend going back and checking that out. That was a great conversation with 2 track athletes about how the faith set the identity and the foundation of how to deal with adversity. But as always, we're so excited to get into episode 4. So I'm going to slide it to my co-host, Clayton. He's going to introduce our guest and what we're going to talk about today.
Guys, welcome into episode 4 of Get Your Faith in the Game. We're back with some more Bearcats today. This is a very exciting episode for us. So we got 2 baseball players with us. First of all, we're going to go with sophomore left-handed pitcher, Chase Horst. Chase, what's up? Tell them where you're from and how you got here, man.
What's up, everyone? Thank you guys for having me. I'm from Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and I came to Cincinnati 2 summers ago. I committed here. Originally, I was committed to Charleston Southern University. That's in South Carolina. Unfortunately, one of the coaches there left, and so I decided to leave that summer. And about a month until I had to go to campus, I thought Cincinnati was the best fit for me, so here I am, and I love it.
There you go. Go Cats, baby. Second, we got freshman outfielder Gavin Earhart. Gavin, tell them where you're from and how you got to UC, man.
What's up? I'm from Avon, Ohio. I committed here the summer after my freshman year, so pretty early. Been committed here for a long time. I'm happy to be here. We have new coaches this year, which has been a little bit different, but I'm loving my time here so far.
Let's go. Yeah, so you guys are 19-13 overall, kind of to start the year. You're 7-5 in the Big 12. So big transition for you guys, and you've showed up so far. It's kind of the dog days of the season, like you're right in the middle. So how are y'all feeling as of right now?
I'm feeling really good, and I think the entire team's feeling really confident. You know, the Cats are hot, and don't count us out.
Come on now.
Coming off a big sweep over TCU, so everybody's feeling pretty good, and we got a big game tomorrow against Xavier, so that'd be big too.
Yeah, a little crosstown showdown, baseball style.
Yeah.
Hopefully when people are watching this episode, it's a win.
That's what I was just about to say that. I was like, pause the video and did we
Go
win?
check the score.
Yeah.
We'll pop a little score update on the screen.
Yeah. So glad that you guys are on the S episode. So tell everyone how you kind of got involved with FCA. I know, Chase, you started with Grant a little bit, who works for Athletes in Action, met him a couple years ago. So talk about how you met Grant and then how you now got to FCA with Clayton and I.
For sure. So last year, obviously, I was a freshman. I came here, and I kind of just wanted to get connected with people and just, surround me with, Christ-like athletes. And so I reached out, and that's when I met Grant. That whole process has been amazing, and just, meeting Grant and him just connecting me with a bunch of other athletes at UC that love Jesus has been awesome. And then, so all of last year, I was in that, and then this past fall, we all kind of came together, Clayton, Zach, and I, and Grant, obviously, and just that whole process has been amazing. We've gotten way more athletes than last year, so I've been able to connect with a lot more people and connect with a lot more athletes, and just on a daily basis run into people that I know and just say what's up to them.
Yeah, that's awesome. Gavin, what's been your experience so far with the merge of FCA and Athletes in Action coming together?
It's nice that it can all be one. I actually started FCA in high school, at Avon High School.
Sweet, yeah.
So I was familiar with it, and Chase invited me. It was the first week we got here to school, so I was like, it's perfect.
Yeah.
It was just I was at home, and it's been helped me to stay close to Christ throughout the ups and downs.
Absolutely. So Chase, you mentioned it a little bit, but what's it been like for you to kind of be discipled by Grant over this past year? How impactful has that been for you?
For sure. So Grant has been huge in my life. I kind of came to UC because my brother was committed here, so that was basically my only reason at first. But last fall, or 2 falls ago, he unfortunately got hurt and left UC. So then I was kind of just here on my own, and then I met Grant, and it's kind of made me realize God's plan for me hasn't just been for baseball or anything like that. And so that's been huge. Just like seeing God's plan is way more than baseball in real life has been awesome to see. But other than that, Grant just been a huge role model for me in my life. I'm married, and he was the person that married my wife and I. So just that alone tells you how much. Yeah, that alone tells you how like close we are. And Grant, love you, man.
Yeah. And Gavin, for you, you're a freshman. So what's kind of been your freshman experience, especially with being injured right now? What's that been like?
Adversity, I see it as a good thing. I mean, it's better than being comfortable all the time. It's been rough, but I've been able to get through it. Not being able to really do much recently with baseball, but I've used it as a time to get closer with God and just realize His plan is greater than anything that I could ever do on my own.
There's been a cool picture going around. I'm just opening a screen right now about the baseball team praying together before a game. You guys have mentioned that you guys do that before a game. You get your group of guys that are believers together and pray together. How has that kind of been the part of your culture as a team so far this season?
Yeah, so I just feel like a lot of the guys are more connected with each other, and going back to like the culture and everything, like the culture's great in the locker room and everything like that. Like I feel really close to a lot of guys, and last year when I was a freshman, it really wasn't like that. And I think like Clayton mentioned earlier, we're now 19-13 and 7-5 in the Big 12. Like I think our culture and our team chemistry has a lot to do with that.
How about you, man?
The prayer group before the game started off at probably like 8 people, and now it's probably double that.
Wow.
So it's just really good to see that they see us doing that and they just want to be a part of it.
Yeah.
And that just could, even if they're don't really know God, maybe that is something that will bring them closer.
Seed? Yeah. Never know. Yeah, so today's topic is going to be about sharing your faith boldly amongst your circle of influence. So like for you guys, your teammates, your classmates, your coaches even. So we're going to be reading from 1 Peter chapter 3. So a little context, Peter wrote his letters in order to encourage believers through the hardships of being a Christian, which you guys have already kind of talked about. I know you both have experienced injuries just this season. So, Jesus promised in John chapter 16, verse 33, he promised that there would be tribulation. But he said we can take heart because he has overcome the world. So as Christians, we know it's not going to get easier for us. And so that's kind of the context of Peter's letters, was to encourage believers. But we're going to pick up in verse 13 here. It says, "Who is going to harm you if you are eager to do good? But even if you should suffer for what is right, you are blessed. Do not fear their threats, do not be frightened. But in your hearts, revere Christ as Lord. Always be prepared to give an answer to everyone who asks you to give the reason for the hope that you have. But do this with gentleness and respect, keeping a clear conscience so that those who speak maliciously against your good behavior in Christ may be ashamed of their slander. For it is better, if it is God's will, to suffer for doing good than for doing evil." So Peter says earlier in this chapter, he says, repay evil with blessing, which is kind of so contrary to the world's beliefs. He says, turn from evil and do good. So make that conscious choice to turn from evil. Want to highlight, he says, revering Christ as Lord in verse 15, which kind of points to that fear of the Lord, which doesn't mean I'm afraid of God. It means I have just full respect for him, full honor for God, fear of the Lord. So Peter goes on after this passage to say that Christ suffered once and for all sins, so that we can be encouraged in our suffering in light of that. So Zach, go ahead and talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah. I really love the part about the gentleness and respect. I think it's easy, when you know something, when you're I'm 100% right, it's so easy to be I'm right, you're wrong, this is why I'm right, and just kind of be aggressive and even frustrated at the person, right? Of no, you're wrong. Like I'm right. Like you can't argue me. Like LeBron's better than Michael Jordan. Like you can't argue that, right? Like so, the aggressive, fun argument, right? And that might be a hot take, or but Peter tells us to, when it talks about sharing our faith and the boldness of faith and people that maybe don't believe, to approach that with gentleness and respect towards that person. And I think this is really good because I think there's a stereotype in Christians that we shove our faith, just like enforce our faith on them, and that as Christians that we there's that stereotypical natural approach of I'm right, you're wrong type of thing, and I'm gonna actually believe it. And so doing what Peter said with gentleness and respect is like super important, because that humbles ourselves with that person that does not believe in sharing our answers. And the really cool part is like Peter doesn't say like don't answer at all. He says always have an answer to share what your hope is, which is obviously Jesus Christ, but do it with gentleness and respect. And so Grant, shout out Grant again. Jeez, he's popular here. Gavin, Chase, so have you, Chase, since I said Grant. How does it affect sharing your faith with someone that's a non-believer with the approach of gentleness and respecting that person? How does that even like make an impact on that person then because of that approach?
Yeah, for sure. I think that is a struggle for pretty much every Christian out there. Like they're always trying not to be like make other people upset with them just because they're trying to share the gospel. So I think going at it from an aspect of just being gentle about it and not really wanting to, make other people upset at you is huge. And for me personally, I go into it kind of just knowing that God is there with me, and if I plant that seed, God will do the rest. I just need to plant that seed and then just let God take control. And also, I just know that God's going to do anything he can, and it's all God's plan.
Yeah.
Shout out, Trey.
Shout out. Just go ahead and lay out the word.
Yeah, what do you think about approaching with gentleness and respecting the person?
I would just say we're all sinners, so we have no room to judge anyone else. There's only one judge, and that's God himself.
Yeah.
So I think just approaching it with just being selfless and really seeking the best for the person, and not seeking what's in yourself, like, oh, look what I did, but look what God did through me.
Yeah, I feel like you guys are both seeing, like, from knowing you guys for a year now, like, pretty calm guys. So is this something, like, when you feel like you know something that you're right about, is it trying to go the approach of gentleness and respect? Is that something you guys you feel like God's done in you and moved in you in that, or do you feel like you have people in your life kind of helping you need to still work in that area a little bit?
I think God blessed me with just the ability to have patience and be gentle with people.
Working at that.
Yeah. True. Stay in the approach. But yeah, it's definitely something that everybody struggles with, but I feel like I've been able to do a fairly decent job of being patient with people and just seeking what's best for them.
That's good. What about you, Chase?
I think I'm pretty much the opposite. I don't think I've ever really had the greatest patience. You can talk to my wife about that one. But I think I've kind of grown a lot through that just by seeing other people. Seeing you two, you guys are pretty calm people, seeing Grant. And I think the biggest impact has been my grandparents. There's been some tough times in their life and in all of our lives as a family. And they kind of just go about it with that gentleness and respect. And it's just been super cool to see how calm they go through all that stuff.
That's incredible. Kind of going back to sharing with gentleness and respect. I think it's important to point out hate's not going to drive out hate, right? I think that's an MLK quote. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that, right? Because if you come at somebody, like Zach was saying, I'm right. If you come at them all aggressive or just in your face, then they're going to immediately discount what you say. They're going to immediately invalidate whatever you say. But if you come at them loving and you're actually living out your life as a Christian, that's how you can actually make a difference, right? I love what you pointed out, Chase, that our job is just to go scatter seed, right? Because God is the one that makes it take root and softens hearts. in order for people to become good soil so that they can accept, the word of God and begin to follow Jesus. That's our only job, is to plant seeds, and it may be something huge, like you see somebody and like they're broken down and you need to like pray for them right there on the spot, or it may be something small like opening the door for somebody, but you never know what somebody else might be going through in a way you could show love like that.
Yeah. Touching on that, it's just like a big way that I kind of show other people Christ through me is just by like my actions. Like if you know me, I'm not like a big confrontational person, and I'm not going to be the first one to call you out. It's just like I don't really feel comfortable doing that, but I will always try and reflect my actions as if Christ was always watching me. And I think that's just a way God has called me to show him.
What's one of like the biggest challenges that you faced in terms of being a Christian and like being in a D1 sport, like having that kind of spotlight on you? What's a challenge that has provided?
Trying to take everything on your own. Like the biggest challenge that I've had, like being hurt, like I feel like I try to do stuff on my own, but it never works out. Yeah. So it's just kind of like relying on Christ's strength through me, because that's the only reason that I'm here right now. Mm-hmm. It's nothing that I could have ever done in my life to get me here. So I think it's just really trusting in God's strength, and everything will work out.
Yeah, I mean, that transcends baseball for sure. Yeah. I've experienced that in my own life, trying to do things in my own power, and then it just like all goes haywire and doesn't work out, And then you have to hit that point of surrender when you could have just hit that point of surrender in the first place,
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you, Chase?
I think I might go at this from like a different angle, but I think one thing that has been kind of hard for me is just dealing with like maybe feeling as if I'm going to be judged if I just like stand up for what I believe. And I think that's because, like you did mention, we're Division I athletes. Like a lot of people look up to us and like look to us as like role models, and that kind of goes back to like gentleness and respect. Like I don't want to feel like I'm pushing Christianity down people's throats, but at the same time I don't want to totally just like disregard my religion and what I believe in. So I think that's been kind of hard for me recently, is just like trying to deal with like not really caring if people judge me based off of what I believe, knowing that God's plan is amazing all the time, and there's always a reason for what he's doing. So I think that's been the biggest like struggle for me, is just like knowing people will judge me out there and just not letting it get to me.
Verse 14, it says, if you suffer for saying what is right, you'll be blessed. That's exactly what you just said right there, right? And I think people, when they think of the word suffering, they think of people across the world identifying as a Christian, and going through possibly getting killed, having to hide their faith and stuff like that. But there's even suffering on a baseball team where you are outgoing in your faith and you're sharing your faith out and you're trying to be bold in your faith, and you might be labeled as the Jesus guy or the Christian guy, right, or the weird guy because you won't go out on Friday nights and do the things that they want to do. What kind of blessings have you gotten, though? Have you guys felt from sharing your faith and maybe going through those sufferings? What blessings have you received because of that?
I would say just even more patience. Really just fully trusting on what God has for your life, and not really just taking yourself out of the picture and putting God first.
Yeah, I like that.
Like more of Jesus and less of us.
Yeah.
So I think,
For me, I've definitely been able to like build more connections and like deeper connections with like real friends through doing that, and just like I've just built a lot like closer real connections with like friends.
That's a huge blessing. So it says in verse 15, always be prepared to give a reason for the hope you have. So Chase, kind of like you alluded to, like you try to live your life in a way where it represents Jesus. So like you have this hope, like people can see it, maybe from the stands or from the dugout while you're on the mound. People can see like this guy's different. So how do you prepare yourself to give a reason for the hope that you have, like it says?
Yeah, that's a tough question, because I mean, I'm always trying to be ready to give an answer if someone like asks me, but then like I've been talking about, just also wanting to go at it from a way of respect and gentleness. So I think before like any of that happens, I'm always praying and asking God to just ease my heart and give me the wisdom to say the things that he puts on my mind, and just like be confident in everything I say. But also I think a big thing that I don't want to not mention is just like having the vulnerability and humility to like admit if I don't understand a question. If someone like wants to ask me about my religion and they ask me about something that I might not fully know, like being like, hey man, I don't understand that, like let's jump into it together and find out.
Great excuse to say, why don't we do this? Why don't we try to find the answer together and see what we find, right? That's a great
exactly.
That's great.
I just think that since I have been able to lead prayers before the game, and teammates see that I'm strong in my faith, that they can come to me like after a prayer or whenever, and just to know that I will be there for them and be able to guide them in the right direction. Because if they're unsure about who Jesus is or anything about faith, I just think that they'll just be able to come to me.
Yeah, that's cool, especially as a freshman, to be able to lead in that way. That's awesome, man. So, the title of this podcast is Get Your Faith in the Game. So what has helped you be able to incorporate your faith into baseball?
I think going back to last year, I really like took this definition for real, and I was just trusting Jesus with everything, going through injuries or hard times in the season. Just having my faith in the game helped me just to stay confident in myself, and also just helped me to rely on God and trust him and know that anything that's going to happen is going to be good, because that's what he says his plan is. So I think last year, my freshman year of college, I really took this definition to heart and really incorporated my faith into baseball. And I've really seen a difference when I've done that.
Yeah,
It's been great.
That's good. I would say, like, I used to worry about what other people think of, like, my performance or what I did in the field. But now that I just know that Jesus is with me every step of the way, like, other people, what they say does not matter, what they think does not matter. And it's just been able to free me up when I play. And I've just noticed that I just play free. And with no worries in the world, because I know Jesus has my...
Yeah, we talked about this a little bit last episode with Dom and Juice, some of the track guys, but a lot of people think Christianity or the Bible is like a list of rules that you have to live by, but it's really freedom, right? It's freedom from sin and from death. So like, instead of being all constricted and like, oh, I have to play well because this is all I have, this is my identity, it's like you said, it's freeing.
Yeah.
You have freedom to be who God's called you to be.
Baseball's not everything in life.
Absolutely.
Amen.
Yeah. So we've done this the past couple episodes with some of the other college athletes we've had on here. But I want to ask you guys, if you had advice for your 17-year-old self, I know you're a freshman and a sophomore, but a lot of growth happens once you get to college. So if you had advice for your 17-year-old self, what would you say?
Baseball's not that deep.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Just to not worry about anything with baseball or anything in life, and just to have fun, enjoy the blessings that God has given you, because today is going to be gone, and you won't always have what you have right now. So just be thankful.
Awesome. So when this episode airs, you guys will be on the way to Houston, or you probably already be there. So good luck in Houston.
Thank you.
In a couple weekends.
Go Cats.
Go Cats. Yeah, so it's an honor to have you guys on. You can catch you'll actually be at home for Houston. Yeah.
So come out and watch.
Yeah, come out and watch the Cats tonight. But it's been an honor to have you guys on. If you want to support them, you know where to find them at the UC Baseball Stadium right there downtown. So it's been an honor to have you guys on for episode 4 of Get Your Faith in the Game. We'll see you next week. God bless.